of mobile technology, and then we're going to touch a bit on artificial intelligence. Who thinks that artificial intelligence is more freaky than helpful? No one? Okay, I'm quite surprised with that. Normally when you're out somewhere and you talk about artificial intelligence, then people think of like killer droids that are going to take over the planet. Maybe it's a bit of a shame that the sci-fi industry got to it before entrepreneurs and scientists, I think. But I am pretty convinced that the two people who are coming to talk to us about it are not going to talk about killer droids. It would be very much outside of what their normal area is. Marianne Larsson is from Innovation Skåne, and she's going to come. And with her, she's got Marpe Tanaka from Doctors Without Borders, so give them a warm welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can. So I'm Marianne Larsson. I'm the Director of Innovation at Innovation Skåne, and this is Marpe Tanaka, who's Innovation Manager of the Swedish part of the Doctors Without Borders. And I will start talking a little about how healthcare can be changed completely thanks to mobile technology and artificial intelligence. And then Marpe is going to give his perspective on those kind of things with their contexts out there in the field and in cities and global data, etc. Okay, I need my cards. That's us. So this is today in the Western world, the rich world. This is when I get a heart attack and I survive, hopefully. And I will have a checkup every 6 months or every 3 months or so, because that's the law. And that's how I will get it in a calendar every 6 months. And the doctor will check my heart pressure, my heart rate, my ECG, my general condition, my fever, at this pit stop, Wednesday the 31st at 3 o'clock until 3:30 or something. That's how it is normally, but occasionally there's this new product, LifePod, for instance, that makes all of this continuous and automatic. So this guy's sleeping up there. He has a wearable, could be this or something else, continuously monitoring, transferring data to the doctor. The clinic is with him all the time. Or this lady who's adding in information to her app. They both learn from their patterns. We actually see tendencies that they change their lifestyles to a more healthier one if you do have these apps, and if you are really ill. I mean, for fitness purposes, we know that people drop these after a while. But if you're ill, you're motivated. Okay, so the clinic, instead, they have the other view here, where they sort thousands of patients, knowing by this intelligent algorithm what patients to attend to and what patients doesn't need attendance. So the calendar becomes obsolete. That's one example of how things are changing. So, the technology measuring our vitals. Now we heard Peter talk about sensors, and it's so impressive what they're doing up there. And it's already existing that people have sensors censoring things inside their skin. And the development is going extremely fast. And I'd like to point out what Peter said. It's becoming extremely cheap. That is a vital ingredient to this. It's becoming incredibly cheap, and the development is going fast. We already have the tools today, such as the camera, the mobile camera. So every one of you with hundreds of dots that you're terrified you'll get malign melanoma, this is my skin helping you with reminding you to take pictures and actually indicating changes on your dots. And there's a 98% survival rate if you get early detection. There are numerous of apps like that. Or this one, Tummy Lab. For people with bubbly tummies, is that clock right? No, it's not.
It's counting down.
Sorry. People with bubbly tummies, or IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Anyone has heard of that? Oh, you're waving a little like that. Very many have it, actually. It's 5% to 40% in depending on country and studies, and it's increasing, and it's terrible, and it's a black hole to science. There's no treatment. So you rule out every other intestinal diagnosis you got, and there you stay with IBS. There's no cure. So the recommendation you get is to go home, write yourself a diary on everything you eat, every ingredient, every toilet visit, how you feel, how you sleep, how you exercise and everything, and come back in 2 months and we'll try to find patterns. Now, Tummy Lab helps you because you put in the data in the app instead, and the computer analyzes the data and sends back curves and suggestions and finds patterns and says, well, you may want to avoid this banana because every time you eat a banana, 6 hours later you have a problem. You may try it out. So it helps you analyze. Now the guys doing that, they also, a couple of years ago, before they launched this, they launched Forza Football, which is an app engaging some 4 million people. Imagine 4 million people with IBS or bubbly tummy donating data about their health, what they eat, ingredients, and having that data analyzed. What knowledge, what patterns would we see? What new treatments would we find? So this is big data computing, and sometimes we call it artificial intelligence. When we use the IBM Watson, for instance, have you heard of the IBM Watson? That's not the only supercomputer, but it's kind of famous because they launched it to the world by having it competing in Jeopardy. So this IBM Watson won the Jeopardy after having learned the game. Watson uses all the data available on the internet and then comes up with an answer and keeps winning and winning and winning. And this is understandable, at least to me. Using all the data, very rapidly finding the answer better and faster than the human brain. So what if we started donating our vital health data from all over the world to a computer that would rapidly use all the data and find patterns, give better answers, providing us with tools that we could support ourselves with, and tools that doctors could use to make them even better doctors, better treatment, better diagnosis, etc. Now, this is not a Western world thing because technology is getting cheaper and cheaper, and the volumes and the production volumes are extremely large. So people all over the world actually can gain access to these kind of tools when they come. We will have access to tools whether we are here or in South Africa or Nigeria or India, or we're poor or rich. We will have tools that helps us taking better care of ourselves, and tools for doctors wherever they are. And these tools will enable better treatment, better diagnosis, fewer emergency events for heart diseased people or diabetics or Parkinson patients or COPD, etc. This is the future. Now, I hand over to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Marianne. Hey everybody, my name is Malte Tanak. I'm very glad to be here. I work for something called the MSF Sweden Innovation Unit, that is a part of the larger MSF movement, or Doctors Without Borders. In Swedish, we are called Läkare utan gränser. As I only have less than 7.5 minutes, let's stick to MSF. And MSF, as an organization, we are an international, independent medical humanitarian organization, and our aim is to alleviate suffering and save lives. And we do that by trying to provide healthcare where it's needed the most. And we want to do that irrespectively of gender, ethnicity, religion, or political affiliation. During the years, we have grown to become an organization that employs about 35,000 persons around the globe. And most of these people, they work in the actual projects, countries that houses the projects. And that is in about 70 countries today. And we work with everything ranging from rescuing and supporting refugees and migrants in the Mediterranean context, to trauma care surgery for victims of the Syrian conflict, as well as HIV and AIDS projects, primary health care, and other activities such as water and sanitation that has been the theme earlier today, along with vaccination campaigns. Now, innovation has always been something that MSF has been dependent on and been actively using, and this is necessary as the context that we work in are very, very rough many times. We have to deal with insecurity, we have to deal with very bad infrastructure, low educational levels, very extreme environmental situations, and many other parameters. And that makes it necessary to be innovative and to be a good problem solver. But we in Sweden, the Swedish section, saw that it was necessary also to approach innovation in a different way. Many times, I think we have been quite ad hoc at it, and we saw that there is a need to work more systematic towards innovation, at least to some problems and challenges that require a more long-term perspective, that requires different and more competences that we do not house ourselves. And we also saw that there was a huge interest in the Swedish society from individuals, companies, as well as the universities and other stakeholders to contribute to what we do. And we also saw that the possibility to contribute is very wide. Either you go to field as a medical or non-medical personnel, or you can donate a couple of hundred crowns a month. We saw that there is much more that we can do with that. And with that in the back of our head, that was how we started what would later become the MSF Sweden Innovation Unit. When we work, we want to have a very strong user-centered perspective where we always have to go back to what is it actually that we need, what are the needs, and we want to do this in a very field-driven way. In addition to that, we saw that it's necessary to have a cross-disciplinary approach, to work a lot with prototypes, and to do this in a manner that is sustainable. We have done this now for about 4 years, and I think that during this period, we have started to develop a very pragmatic and applied innovation process, and we have also started to tap into these resources that before were only potentially there. They are now a part of our network and our partners. And during the 4 years where we started very small scale, we have now started to increase the work that we do, and we work with a wide range of different cases. And these cases are basically grouped in 3 different categories. One that evolves around biomedical equipment and technology, where we, for example, work together with the Karolinska Institute in order to improve wound care for victims of the Syrian conflict. We also try to develop new sterilization equipment that is critical to have, obviously, in situations where you need to do surgical interventions. And as Peter was talking about before, the cold chain labels, this is the latest version, by the way, and so on. We also wanted to work more within innovation process in general, within the organization. Some that are directed towards specific topics, but also innovation in a more strategic way, where we want to go under the skin a bit of the organization and also create a different culture. So it's not just people with innovation in their title or different labs and so on, but try to have this kind of thinking throughout the organization. The last group or area that we work with and that has grown a lot is the one that involves ICT and health data. And this is something that we have been doing and has been increasing a lot lately. We work here with, for example, health information systems, moving from analog, basically paper and pen-based systems, in order to improve the quality of data, so that we can work better from a strategic perspective, as well as from operational activities to enhance that. We also want to put, for example, geographical systems in place so that we can better have an overview of what is going on, to have better and early surveillance data so that we can react on it. For example, Ebola or cholera outbreaks. These and many other things we are working with. And I think that the topic of today is extremely interesting because we now have to move into more intelligent systems, big data, business intelligence, and other technology that can help us do this in a better way. You were talking about better diagnostics. It's also another area to help our practitioners to do this. But to do this, we have to realize that we face very, very different challenges where we work than we do here. For example, the fact that there is a huge gap in the healthcare systems, that there is a big brain drain among health practitioners, especially in rural areas of resource-poor settings. How do we tackle that? At the same time, we have seen that non-communicable diseases is something that is emerging hugely, not only here, but in all over the world. And as an example, we have different projects in Syria that looks into how to improve the situation for Syrian refugees when it comes to non-communicable diseases. And as many Syrians has died during the years of the conflict by non-communicable diseases as by the conflict itself. So those things are things that we need to consider if we want to be able to tackle these challenges. I think that, I'm running out of time here, that the key message from this is that when we develop solutions, when we have to always have the need in focus. If we have the need in focus when we develop solutions, this is key. New solutions and technology always have to have base in the needs that we're looking into, rather than, as in many times, what is happening is that we create need for new technology. And if we want to avoid to do the last option, it is absolutely critical that we not only consider the end user and end recipients, we also have to actively involve them in the development, in the process. And we need to do that as early as possible. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Marpa and Marianne. Very, very inspirational.